In this video, let us learn how to develop the Post API. So now we need to provide Post API. So in order to develop the Post API, the first step, we should require DTO class. So create one package. The package name is DTO. Under this particular package, we should create a source file, department DTO. We should create a source file called department DTO. In this particular source file, we need to create the same variables: private, integer ID, private string dname, private string location. What are the variables we have declared in a department entity class? The same thing only we need to define. So again, one more card: private date created at, last one, modified at. After specifying the same variable, we need to define Lombok dependency now: @data, @setter, @getter, @noargs constructor, @all args constructor. We need to define. Once after defining these many variables, the next step we need to define. We need to create a new package called, which one means mapper. In the mapper package, we should convert the entity into a DTO and DTO into an entity. Okay. So for that purpose, we can create one source file. The source file name is department mapper. In the department mapper, we should write a method public static department. So we need to write map to DTO. So we need to write map to department, map to department. So here we should supply department DTO as a parameter, department DTO. So return new department of. We should provide the attribute details. Department DTO dot. So we need to make it as a get ID, comma, department DTO dot get dname, department DTO dot get location, department DTO dot get created at, comma, department DTO dot get updated at. Yes, we have provided these many parameters. The representation here, the given department DTO, we are converting into department, map to department. So next, one more method we supposed to write public static void public static department DTO. So here we supposed to write, we should write map to department DTO. So here we are passing entity as a parameter, return new department DTO. we should provide the details now. Department dot get id, comma department dot get dname, comma department dot get location, department dot get created at, department dot get updated at. So if we can pass entity object as a parameter, this method converts it into department DTO. If we can supply department DTO as a parameter, object as a parameter, it converts into entity object. That is called the mapper class. Save this particular one. Once after saving this particular detail, now we need to create a new package, that is service. In the service package, we should create a interface, that is department service. In the department service interface, we need to define the method. It should return DTO. That is called the create department. It should accept department DTO as a parameter and it returns department DTO. Once after specifying an abstract method, create department in service, department service interface. Now we need to create a package called service IMPL. In this particular package, we should create a class department service IMPL. This particular class should implement department service. So now we need to provide for this particular class an annotation called service, and we should implement unimplemented method. So that is called which one? Create department. So now we have to inject at the rate AutoWire. We should inject repository here. Department repository. So currently here repository does not aware about DTO. So the DTO class called department DTO, it doesn't have any context. But our service interface and as well as service implementation have context on department DTO. So here first we need to convert into, first we should convert this into entity object. So how we can able to convert means department mapper dot map to department. Sir, here we need to pass department DTO as a parameter. So it returns department object. It returns department. So it returns entity department. That is called the DEPT. So now once after it is returning the department entity object, now we can go to repository dot save. The save method is accepting entity object as a parameter. So again it returns department saved department, saved DPT is equal to. So this particular same method, it returns department entity object. Once after returning the entity object, now say return, because the create department method returns department DTO. This create department method, it never return the department entity object. For that purpose, we should do conversion. So how we can able to convert means department mapper dot map to department DTO. So for this particular method, we should pass the saved department entity object as a parameter. Now save this one. So we are passing department DTO for create department method. Here we are converting into entity. What is the purpose? We are need to convert it into department entity object. The reason our repository doesn't have any context on DTO object. That's the reason we should use entity object. We should pass as the parameter, and again we need to return the saved department object, entity object. The same department entity object we need to pass as the parameter to map to department DTO in order to convert the department entity into the department DTO object. So once after converting, so now we need to go to controller. Now we need to create a new package called controller. The controller should contains a class called department controller. Here we need to define @rest controller, @request mapping. We need to provide the API/viewer. This is the resource path we need to provide. And here we need to inject service layer, service object. So auto wire private department service DPT service we need to inject. So now we need to develop the post request now. So in order to develop the post request, we need to use an annotation called post mapping. So this is for departments. So now we need to write the method public, because here we need to write response entity, because we should configure the status code here. That's the reason we need to return response entity department DTO save department. So now we need to provide a request body department DTO only. We need to pass as the parameter department DTO. So now we should return new response entity DPT service dot create department. We need to pass department object as a parameter, department DTO object as a parameter, and then the second parameter we should provide HTTP status dot created. Now save this particular request. Once after developing the post HTTP request, now we can open the Postman. Now we need to check this particular post request in the Postman. The HTTP post method we should be verified in the Postman now. Right click on the project and execute our Spring Boot project now. So now we will go to collection. So now we need to close all the tabs now. So once after closing all the tabs, now first we need to create a collection, blank collection we can create. So this is nothing but department underscore DTO underscore restful test cases. Yes, we have created a collection now. Once after creating the collection, we need to create one request. The request should be post request. So now we need to estimate the URL. The URL should be in this way. HTTP localhost colon. Currently our port number is 9091. This one we have provided in application.properties. So 9091 slash API slash V1. This one I provided in request mapping. And here I provided departments. The same thing I need to provide. This is our complete URL. Copy this particular URL and go to Postman and paste this particular URL. Since post method is accepting request body, go to body, raw. We need to provide the dname accounting. Next one is location. This variable name must be exactly as similar match with the entity class variable, otherwise it won't work. The location I kept New York. So this particular variable dname and location must exactly similar to the department variable dname and location. If the names are mismatching, it won't work. Now if you can click on send request, it's supposed to create a request in the database. But currently it has provided created date and updated date as null. So we can investigate what is the purpose. It was provided created date and updated date as null. Again go to our entity object. So have we imported a proper one. So we have imported import java.sql.date. The class we have imported properly. And again department mapper also department DTO also the same class name we have provided the same variables we have specified and we have imported properly. And mapper department mapper also we have specified those variables properly. Getter department repository department service department IMPL. So now we can go to database. We can execute the same query now. So the data is created, but created date and updated date as showing as a blank null. So for this purpose, we can stop the server now. We can stop the project and we can do truncate. It doesn't have any record. Or we can delete the table itself. We can drop the table. Again, we can execute this particular project one more time. Because we have provided packages, imported the packages, everything we have done properly. So we can cross check now. Because created date and auto date, updated date should be populated automatically. Go here, save this particular request and execute now. So now also it is provided created at and updated at as null date only. Go to database and execute. Now also it is showing as a null date. So this is because we are missing some annotation in the entity class. What are those annotation? So we need to stop this particular project and we should provide annotation created at the rate created create timestamp at the rate timestamp creation timestamp. There is one class called creation timestamp. Here we need to provide a timestamp called creation timestamp, update timestamp. Okay, these two annotation we should provide. Once after providing the annotation, it is a good practice. So better we can drop the complete table one more time. So now we can run the Spring Boot project. Go to database, refresh, and execute now. Yes, the table has created properly. Now if we can send the request, post request, it must provide timestamp time, which one created at updated it, because since we have imported here, so which one java.sql date. So that's the reason time only it is date only it is showing. Suppose if you can import java.util.date, so it will provide both timestamp only it will provide. Date and timestamp it will provide. It's depending upon which from the date which one you are importing. Okay. Suppose I would like to show here. I'm just deleting this particular one java.sql.date here also, and as well as so currently observe your date format. It contains only the date format. It doesn't have a time. So import date as, so which one java.util. Save this one. Same thing we can do it in a which one department DTO also. Import it from util. Once after importing from util, again drop the table. So you can stop the server now. Again, if you can drop or truncate the table. Okay, better we can do truncate. Once after truncating the record, again start the server one more time. Start our Spring Boot project. So now if we can run our request accounting New York, so it is showing timestamp, date with the timestamp. It's depending upon on which package you are going to import, either java.sql date, sql.date, or java.util.date. It's depending upon the user wish, they can able to import the package. Second one, RE, research, research, research. So this is for Dallas. Again send the request. The second one got created. The third one sales. You can provide Boston. And fourth one operations. You can provide California. So there are 4 records have created in a database. Okay. In the next video, we will explore how to display all the departments which are available in a database.